everyone. Thank you for joining us here at Artists and the Machine. Today we have Taheeb Sonekan from ElevenLabs and we have Joerg from chess.com to talk about something I have been very excited about the past few months, chess as a learning medium using AI and voice that is generated from players. So I'm curious to hear, what is it that brings you guys here today?
We've been working for years to make awesome chess experiences for people that like to play and people that like to learn. And with the latest tools and toys, we're able to take it further than ever before.
Yeah, from my perspective, we've been working with innovative companies like David and Chess to try to make sure that the learning experience, the gaming experience is just transforming to a whole nother level. So it's exciting to see all the cool things that we've been able to do together.
How did you guys come to collaborate?
So a few years ago, we were looking for how to make the chess playing and learning experience more immersive. We have a few different chess apps, and the fantasy is, what if you could, well, okay, I'll start with my fantasy. I'll talk to a friend, a family friend or a friend, and they'll say, oh, I wish I could get into chess. And I wish that I could be with them at the right moment to give them a personal introduction to the game. Mm-hmm. And I know that if we were going to sit down, if you wanted to get into chess, we could have a good time. And there's a gentle way to get into chess. But when people try to get into it on their own, it can be rough. And so to have a personal, friendly, customized introduction to the game makes such a difference. And so the fantasy is, what if that is possible? And with the modern technology, you can actually get pretty close to it. So we were looking at how our app works, and we realized, oh, if you could actually, we have a coach. There's the face of a coach in the app, and there's text of what the coach is talking about. Mm-hmm. But we knew that if you could actually hear what the coach was saying, then that would be so much better for a lot of people. And so we started messing around to see how that could be possible.
What about you, Taheeb? How do you see this relationship between you guys and chess.com coming together?
Yeah, I mean, I think David summed it up pretty perfectly. It was just kind of like the forward vision of where we thought we could go. But I think from there, thinking about from the technology standpoint of like, how can you also take that to the next level of, now we have iconic chess players' voices like Magnus Carlsen or whoever it may be, of like, hey, I know this person, I've watched this person growing up, I kind of want to be like this person. Now I can hear it directly to me, teaching me how to play the game that I love, that I'm trying to learn. So I just think it's amazing. Like, I think I was a lifelong athlete growing up. I was always like, hey, I love Kobe Bryant. So what would it be like if I was in the gym training, shooting shots, and Kobe Bryant is telling me, hey, fix your elbow here, or you know, dribble like this. So I just think it's amazing to kind of just have a more immersive experience and also learn from the icons that you grew up looking up to. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I have used specifically the Magnus Carlsen bot, and I was surprised how kind it was to me, even though I was making some pretty horrible mistakes at first. But it was a really interesting learning experience. And I'm wondering, before we get into more of the benefits of learning through voice as well instead of just text, I'm interested in, how was it like to ship this product from production to the point that it rolled out? What if you could give me like a quick TLDR?
Sure. So it's a fully multimedia kind of experience the person has. Yeah. They're looking at a screen. What's the layout of the screen? What are the fonts? What are the colors? The coach, what does he look like? Should it be like a photo or should it be a cartoon? Some people rightfully worry about the uncanny valley effect, where if something is trying to be exactly lifelike, that could actually be more disturbing than just a drawing. So that's why in our different products, we've got drawings. We're not trying to fool anyone. In fact, the opposite. We're not trying to fool anyone to think, oh, Magnus Carlsen or Hikaru Nakamura or Levi Rosman is sitting with you. It's a let's pretend together. And so when you see the drawing, that's an invitation to pretend. And so to get back to your question, so we would draw and design what we hoped the experience would be like. And then we had thousands of different lines of text of what the different coaches would say. And we can get into the details of there's a lot you can do with word choice, and the different people have different ways of expressing themselves. And so part of conveying the character of any person is to pay attention to the words they use. And then, so we would have thousands of strings of different things that the coaches would say, and then we would submit those into the ElevenLabs API, 10, 20, 100, and listen to them and say, what does this sound like? Does it sound like the person? Does it sound like the person's understanding what they're saying? And that's where the collaboration with ElevenLabs got very direct and very involved. And there was a lot of iteration on that the ElevenLabs team was super supportive with.
Taheeb, how did these iterations work? Did you also work with the chess players themselves to ensure that, like some quality control from their end to be like, yes, I would totally say it this way. This sounds exactly like me.
So that's what made it super interesting, I would say, for this use case specifically. And in most cases, we didn't have like live recordings. Like we didn't have live recording sessions. We're taking pre-existing audio from like audio clips of previous sessions that they may have. So what comes with that is, with any audio model, what you put in is what you get out. So if it's not clean audio, you may get artifacts, you may get non-quality like voice clones that come out of that. So a lot of the work that our ElevenLabs team had to do was we're dealing with a very limited piece of audio. So maybe we need this voice clone to be a little bit more expressive. Maybe we need it to be a little bit more direct, or the tone needs to be different. We now have to play with that audio file to clean it up, to basically sparse out specific sentences that are said the way we want it to be said, and train the model again and again and again over to get the specific output that we want for that specific character. So for example, one chess player, I'm talking to you like this in a very calm, relaxed tone right now, but what if I wanted that chess player to be super excited? I can't just give it a whole 30-minute clip of me talking super calm. So we had to figure out ways to kind of play with the audio, and our audio engineers are amazing. We did so many iterations back and forth for like the same character. Hey, Magnus Carlsen happy, Magnus Carlsen sad, like trying to play around with it to see the output that we're looking for. So I think a lot of the magic just came from literally just tweaking that input audio in so many different ways and trying to get that output that we're looking for.
Yeah, that's fascinating. Yeah, there's one thing though that I am curious about. I come from gaming, so it's hard to get the information that'll get you good fast at the game. And it's the same thing with chess, and having someone teach you how to do it effectively, it really is a game changer. But I'm wondering, what is your metric for success? The player probably is more engaged because it's a completely different experience, but do you actually see that there is a change in how they play? Maybe their elo raises faster?
Yeah. We have seen that the number one driver of whether or not you improve at chess is whether or not you stick with it. And so we see people that are regularly using game review are getting better faster at the game. Of course, the scientists who are listening to this are going to start asking about correlation and causation, and we are too, and we are looking forward to doing those kind of studies. Haven't gotten there yet. We've seen such an effect of sticking with it. And from anything else you do in life, if you stick with it, you can make progress. But if it's not fun and you're not engaged, then of course nothing good is going to happen. So the first step is having something that you enjoy enough that you're going to keep doing it. And we've seen that. So you're able to pick which coach you want. You want a Magnus Carlsen, other people want other coaches. We've got something like 15 different coaches in there, and we'll offer different coaches for people who are coming from different parts of the world. And we're continuing to mix it up there, and to be able to choose, well, what coach do you want? We've got one of the coaches in there is a Ben Feingold, and he's a little tough. He'll even make fun of you. And and you can tell as you tap around, and you can tap on the coach and you'll hear them say just one line about why they should pick you, and you'll hear it. so you can see what the vibe is like. And if that's to be able to choose what vibe you want from your coach, makes such a difference. And you say, all right, yes, I want some tough love. Fine, I'll tap on Ben. And then you can play with Ben. You can get your games reviewed by Ben. And you can try different things out, and that will make a big difference in your chess life.
I see.
I have a question. Out of my curiosity, do you guys have like more retention numbers for like people who are using that feature? Like, do you guys see them stay on the app longer?
We do. It's been such a strategic priority for us that we're torn between when we launch new stuff, we're A/B testing all the time. But we are chess people at heart, and we're users of our own stuff. And so when an A/B test shows that things are going okay, maybe it's a big positive effect, we're awfully tempted to say, just turn it on to 100%. This is what we always wanted. This was always our vision for the product. And so we will often turn things on all the way instead of before we have the clearest number on exactly what the impact is, because we know that having the coach and having him talk. And so the A/B test is more for the stuff where you're not so, for us, where we're not so sure, or we really need to know the exact amount. But for these things that are just clearly in line with the vision,
That's fascinating.
we do it.
Yeah, that's fascinating. I mean, I've seen chess go from being something that you played in school, if you were, part of the nerdy club, which luckily I was, but, to see it become an entertainment phenomenon is something that quite frankly surprised me. And over the years, it's not just the broadcast and how people have picked it up on Twitch or on streaming platforms of sorts, but also the presence in esports tournaments and how people have made it this gamify. It's obviously it's a game, so calling it getting gamified, but like getting the online version to be popular, different versions of it, and seeing that there's all this technology behind it to teach people how to get interested in it. That's fascinating. But I have a question directed to you, Taheeb. Where else do you see your technology succeeding and helping others succeed as well? Because I'm a person that struggled in middle school, in high school. I had my interest in video games, and that was about it. That was my focus. Everything else was kind of lacking. But I wonder if I had what you have built together with chess.com, if I wouldn't be more interested in school, for an example.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. Even just in this scenario, when we're thinking about like gamifying and learning, like another great example is, for example, like a Duolingo customer who's using the voices to basically, throughout the app, you're learning different languages. So ElevenLabs makes it so that there's so many different languages that we can span across. So now language learning becomes that much easier because you can learn it in a language that maybe you have a German accent and you're trying to learn English. How can I hear a German accent speak English, and how can I learn how to pronunciate that better in a voice that's similar to mine? Yes. So that changes the whole environment when it comes to like learning and accessibility and things of that nature.
I got to chime in and say, I got to chime in and say that the level of the emotional connection that you can achieve is critical to learning. If you think back to your school, like you were thinking, if there was a teacher that you actually feel like, did something for you, and Taheeb, a teacher, you might be thinking of a teacher right now when I'm saying it. And the way that teacher spoke to you and the way that teacher made you feel is a huge part of what made them a good teacher. We're not talking about the content. We're talking about how they made you feel. And they might have believed in you. They might have supported you. They might have assumed, that you could do it. And that comes through in the voice. If you've got voice in the product, you've got an emotional mainline through to the user or who you're talking to. And so we sweated a lot over exactly what does it sound like? Is the intonation right? Is the vibe correct? And so it lets us connect with the people in a way that directly stimulates engagement and learning. It seems super connected to me.
Yeah. And I think to that point too, just like meeting people where they are. So another great example of where people are seeing the technology be super impactful is like localization and expanding to different languages. So Headspace uses us for meditation content, which is like a completely different medium than learning or anything like that, because you have to think about it. I have to speak super relaxed. I have to keep you in the tone where I'm like going to maybe fall asleep. I have to take deep breaths, like all these kind of like super nuanced style that they need. Like they use ElevenLabs and essentially to now dub into German, Italian, all these different languages. But like it takes that level of emotional connection to get someone to truly be in a meditative state. So I think that's super interesting. And another use case that's exciting there. And then also, you know, a lot of the big entertainment studios, obviously they're not as public with using ElevenLabs, but a lot of big entertainment studios are using us pre-scratch or not pre-scratch, pre-production. So they're using us in scratch. So when they're giving a script to an actor, they can now voice through that entire script. So you almost can hear the whole film just in like voices to see if
exactly what you want.
Right, to see if it's really like, that's a whole new way of ingesting a script or ingesting an idea of what that film can look like. So they're using us for things like that, which I think is super interesting. And you think about also working with talent, where that's a big thing we'll probably talk about in our talk later. But for example, like Under Armour and Anthony Joshua cloned his voice. He wasn't able to make the actual shoot, so they just cloned his voice and like put the script through, and now that's the ad out in the public is his voice that was cloned with ElevenLabs. So a lot of interesting different use cases that we're seeing, but I think you know it's all over. It's interesting. Yeah.
From learning to schedule conflicts,
right?
There are a lot more. This solves a lot more problems than I thought it would.
For sure.
Are there any other problems that you see your technology solving in the future?
I mean, another one that I didn't touch on, I think we're in a creative space, so I kind of tried to focus on a lot of the creative use cases, but I mean, like the call center support stuff, like we are, because of our models are so emotionally aware, like we can take in emotional context. So our speech to text now also takes in sentiment. So if you're calling in and you're super angry or you're super calm and you need a calm voice to respond back to you, our models can understand that, and then we can also put that output back out. So when you think about like medical use cases or like all these call centers where like old people are calling in and they're like, you know, I just fell, I need help. Like they need you. They can't talk to a robot who's the same monotone each time. Like that AI agent needs to have that emotional context to be able to come out and speak to you in the way that you want to be speak to. So we're actually solving for that in a lot of ways. I mean, a lot of big companies are using this now just for call center support, but I think specifically when it comes to some of those industries that are going to be like super, you need to be emotionally aware, like healthcare. I would say like emergency lines, stuff like that, where like, you know, all of these are going to be transformed because the normal AI agent that you see today is not going to be an AI agent that you see 6 months from now.
Sorry about that.
No worries. But yeah, for sure.
Yes, gentlemen, I do think that we are at time, but this was a very interesting conversation. I'm very excited to see where this is going to go in the future, both for your technology, but also for where chess is going to be, because I'm a chess fan and I want to see people get more interested in it. So I think you guys have genuinely developed something that's great. It's been a very enjoyable user experience from my end. So
excellent.
Great job for me. And thank you guys for joining us. And I'm very excited to listen to your talk later.
Amazing. Thanks for having us.
Absolutely.
I got to mention that I hooked up ElevenLabs in my personal account to make phone calls for me.
Wow.
And I've got it like a full-on personal assistant. And it was able to find me a cheaper parking spot in my neighborhood. It was able to talk to the airline for me and get information that I couldn't get any other way. It's been awesome.
That's dope. That's super dope.
I would like to leverage more of your technology then.
That's super dope.
All right, guys. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You too.
And you.